You watching what's happening right now? Well, let me tell you, this is going to be a fight to the death. Symbolic, of course, between Candace Owens and Erika Kirk and TPUSA. Call it what you want. It's going to be the most brutal fight, and they have no idea what they're in for. They really don't. They don't get it. The moment Candace Owens stepped forward and refused to be silenced was not just another internet little kerfuffle or spat. It was the opening shot in a generational realignment that exposed how hollow and brittle and self-protecting and out of date and out of touch TPUSA have become under Erika Kirk's, here come the air quotes, leadership. What a joke. They must be thinking right now, how do we get rid of her? She's killing this. It was bad, and now it's worse because of her. Because of the act. And they're realizing how badly the movement's grassroots had been abandoned after Charlie's death. While TPUSA scrambled to hide behind legal letters and corporate language, Candace did what real leaders do, especially in this particular medium. She spoke directly to the people, kind of like a fireside chat, but directly to people like you and me. And she took control of the narrative, and she forced uncomfortable truth into the open with a precision and a timing and a strategic clarity nobody's ever seen. And this wasn't reckless escalation. It was calculated pressure applied exactly where these institutional weaknesses were greatest. Candace understood completely something that Erika Kirk and TPUSA executive class clearly didn't. That movements do not survive on donor memos and boardroom optics and this weird kind of C-suite. I don't want to go that far, but this I don't know what it was. This inhuman, non-human, corporatocratic nonsense. These organizations survive on trust and authenticity and the emotional bond between leaders and followers. As TPUSA drifted into bureaucratic paralysis after Charlie's demise, Candace stepped into the vacuum and offered what millions of young conservatives were desperate for: clarity, leadership, moral backbone, and a refusal to play along with this sanitized messaging. Erika Kirk's phony baloney leadership, don't even call it that. It exposed itself as reactive and defensive and disconnected from the base that Charlie built. Focused more on internal loyalty and loyalty oaths and management and image control than on honoring the spirit of the movement. I can't say this enough. The movement that had drawn people in, people who loved him, people who were devastated when he was assassinated. And instead of rallying supporters and stabilizing momentum, you know what TPUSA did? They retreated into this institutional self-preservation. They're still doing it. And the torrent of, oh my God, the critiques are coming left and right. They were issuing cease and desist letters. How? I think there's a word. Chicken shit. I think that's the legal term. Isn't that it? I mean, it's like, what are you, nuts? You just gave people 12 more weeks of material that spread metastatically. Cease and desist for trying to find the truth. It's incredible. Tell me what you can't say, and I'll tell you the truth. And all this leaning on legal mechanisms, it's kind of like a law affair that only reinforced the perception of a closed, elitist operation, more interested in protecting brand assets than serving the audience that Charlie had inspired. And I'm telling you, Candace and many of us saw right through this weakness instantly. And we still can't believe it. Every day it keeps going on. There's no end to this. There's no end. It doesn't. You think they would say, all right, stop. We're just gonna call it quits for a while. Everybody go home. 6 weeks. Run silent. Radio silence. Nothing. No. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Candace Owens saw this terrible weakness immediately and exploited it with discipline, not chaos, using social media not as a tantrum platform, but as a battlefield where narrative dominance and the real story determines long-term influence. This is a message for everybody. She taught us to frame the conflict in human terms instead of corporate jargon, speaking about loyalty and betrayal and donor pressure and internal dysfunction in language that people actually understand. Forcing TPUSA into a defensive crouch that it never escaped. Do you know what happened? Do you know what's happening right now? Can you only imagine what's happening? And all of these incredible forensic accounting sites that are coming out of the woodwork. While Erika Kirk tried to manage optics through controlled statements and internal meetings and this creepy keep heaven filled with dead people. What I mean, I still cannot believe the cosmic boneheadedness of this. But these pictures, these glossy veneers, this apotheosis, the beatification of Her Highness. Oh, there she is, America's sweetheart, the voice of a generation. Oh my God! And while she was doing that, Candace went directly into the public and made the power struggle visible, exposing this really uncomfortable truth that TPUSA had drifted so far from its grassroots, and it's basically its roots, and they turned it into this donor-driven, risk-averse structure that no longer reflected the values of its supporters. People wanted the values, and Charlie's. Oh my God, that assassination! It should have been a moment of humility and recommitment and shock. Instead, it became proof of how quickly, with breakneck speed, centralized organizations lose touch with their base once this charismatic leadership is gone. Candace didn't exploit grief. She honored Charlie, honored him by refusing to allow his legacy to be buried under corporate consolidation and what amounts to ideological conformity. And she recognized that the movement that Charlie built was not meant to become a sterile nonprofit machine, which it is. It was meant to be a living, breathing, cultural force rooted in courage and dissent and the basic fundamental tenets of Christian belief and orthodoxy. It's that simple. What happened to it? What happened? Erika Kirk's response revealed the opposite instinct: control, containment, internal discipline over open dialogue. Those young people felt something for the first time. He made conservative ideology cool. He made a commitment to God and the Bible and the family attractive again. He did this. It's the most incredible thing anybody's ever seen. There were people, and I still tell you right now, they never knew what they had. I don't think they cared anything about this. I don't think TPUSA or Erika cared about that at all. I just think they're thinking money, donors. How much can we pull in? What about the donors? Not the millions of young people who aren't going to be adding to the coffers, who aren't going to be lining anything with money. See, people didn't know about TPUSA. They didn't know what it was. They thought it was like CPAC or they didn't know what it was. I remember when Charlie died. Remember when people would come out of the woodwork, young people. I remember friends of mine had told me, I can't believe my son is so upset by this. My son and my daughter are so upset by this. I can't believe how much they loved him. I can't believe how much they loved him. And they killed him. They slaughtered him. They shot him down like a dog in this grisly grisly assassination, with blood pouring out like a fountain, like a hose. He died, and then they turned around and they made a facsimile of this death altar so people could take selfies. Take whatever bit of human emotion and decency that you would think somebody would have, especially somebody so imbued in the beauty and the glory of his word and God who forgives, and the beauty queen, so devoid, so empty, so emotionally and morally threadbare, and the lies and the prevarication and the inconsistencies. My God. Yeah, Charlie must be thinking, and I don't know if people can look down and see, but he must be thinking, what are you doing? All they had to do was to just continue with the messaging and the commitment, maybe a scholarship, maybe bringing people who were successful, people who had participated in the program, people who are graduated in essence from TPUSA, and to keep going, to have somebody stand up, and to Erika for her to say, I've got to be with my children now. I don't have time to jet set or to jet about wearing gold lame and crying and appearing on shows. It's not about me. I've got my family. Charlie emphasized women should not work. Remember this? They should stay home and be mothers. And there's nothing more noble than that. I thought this isn't going to work, and it did work. Because people crave a sense of how things used to be. There was a simplicity and a beauty and a glory to this fundamentally authentic commitment to a belief system that America, I thought, was long gone. And all they had to do was keep going. They would have wept. They would have said, Erika, you tell us what we can do. I must be with my family. To have people come up and say, I'm not as eloquent as Charlie. I'm not going to even, there is no Charlie. But we're not going to let his legacy and his movement and his efforts go. We're going to continue to go into college campuses. We're going to start. This week, we announced our 1,000th college, whatever the number is, 2,000, 5,000, to talk about what you've done. We have successfully graduated over 25,000 young people, whatever the term is, from TPUSA. And we stand for the belief that America is built on a fundamental belief in the basics of respect for religion. You don't have to be Christian. You don't even have to be of faith. But you must believe in some things. The dignity of self-respect and the dignity of individuals who basically say, I'm going to control the destiny of my life. And you can go on, and they would applaud. They would have applauded. They would have wept and leapt to their feet. They would have said, you know it. Yes, yes. And the first thing I would have said is, I want to thank all of our great workers at TPUSA, all of them who work sometimes 90 hours a week, absolutely underpaid. Now, what they're going to do with how much, listen, executive compensation is something that people always argue. I'm not going to waste my time with that. That's up to you to decide. But do you see what I'm saying? That's the way they should have done it. That's the way. Instead of going on Fox News, and I don't blame Fox News, telling them, look how they've treated me. Look how they've stop this. Who is this Nurse Ratched with this? Oh. There's not going to be a Turning Point USA. There's not going to be, because there's no Charlie. What do they think it is? That people just throw money at it? That it's magical? That something called TPUSA, even if Ben Shapiro is running it? I don't know if they're crazy, stupid, or combinations thereof, but it absolutely blows my mind. So thank you, my friends. Thank you for listening. Thank you for this. I love the way this simple story keeps evolving and expanding. into such a complex story with so many levels. I find it fascinating. And I know you do too. And I can tell by what you've written, by your thoughts and comments. Thank you for this. Please like the video. Subscribe, dear friend. Subscribe to us. But like these videos. Liking is the most incredibly important thing. And tell people how we meet what we think, and how out of nowhere came one of the most incredible stories ever of power politics and positioning that nobody ever saw. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for following my wife at Lynn's Warriors in her fight against child predation and human trafficking. And thank you so much for being a part of this. Please, my friend, do me a great favor. Please subscribe, of course. And I've got some questions for you. Weigh in and please comment as you see fit.